Hello, everyone, and welcome to What Else Is On, the show on the Else Nerds Network, where we talk about the TV and movie shows and picture things that we've watched the past week. I am your host, Gregor Sprague, and joining me, as always, is my inimitable co-host, Corey Scott. Corey, how you doing?
Hi, how's it going? I got a bad haircut. I look like Michael Douglas in Falling Down. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty good because my grandma made me these. Two,
Awesome.
yes, they're the only part of the house that my sister moved into that the people left. They left a lot of the curtains, and
Uh-huh.
this was in the boys' room. And I'm like, and they're taking. I'm like, oh, throw them away. I'm like, no, you're not. Those are going to me. Well, what are you going to do with them? Grandma can make them into something for me.
That
She,
is super cool.
yeah. She goes, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know, make like little throw pillows or something for me. And so there we go. We got these throw pillows.
Yeah, that's great. You're gonna put your face on something that basically has other people's skin cells and dust from all their
She
life and everything in
washed
it.
it.
Sure, that'll take care of it.
She washed it, and besides, it's just the back of the head. I don't
Mhm.
sleep like yeah with it
Oh man, I
much.
do.
But no. So, and before we get into the shows, we have a little bit of news coming to us, and you have to excuse me for the nasally soundingness of me, but I got this or whatever. But and it's as you can see right here, HBO renews Silicon Valley for a third season. It also renews Veep for a fifth season. And the interesting news with this is that both shows only had one episode, um, and
Of their current seasons.
yeah, of their current season, and it's like, hey, you're getting renewed. And but the interesting part here comes from the Veep side, a show that I don't think either one of us are watching, and that it's their the series creator Armando Iannucci announced last week that he would not be returning as the showrunner next year, and HBO stepped up and said that David Mandel, an executive producer for Curb Your Enthusiasm, would take over. So yeah,
Yeah, I haven't watched Veep, and I hear so many great things about it. And I even there was articles that were posted today saying that it's the funniest show on TV right now. Certainly you can't deny that the cast is incredibly talented when you look at the people on there.
yeah,
It wasn't something that I was really like, oh, I should watch Veep. But the more great things I hear about it, the more I kind of want to.
yeah. Excuse me. It's like again, it's the same thing. Like the cast is really good. There's one guy that was on My Boys on TBS that I'm like, oh yeah, and I sort of follow all of them as they go on to other things. And but it's just like, and I've seen like a couple episodes, but it's just like, do I really want to watch the show when there's other stuff on there? Um,
Well, you know what I would say. You know what I would say to jumping into another show
you
and
ain't
the
got time to
potential.
TV.
I ain't got time to TV.
Oh,
Uh,
which reminds me, I plugged I plugged your segment to a friend of mine, because we were talking about how you could get HBO now free for a month if you have an Apple device, like iPod Touch, iPad, whatever, which I did through the Apple TV, haha. Um, and he's like, oh yeah, and he's talking about like how what he knows about it. I'm like, yeah, my friend my friend had created this segment called "I Ain't Got Time TV," where you watch the first and last episode of the series. Well, this would work great for the season because you're basically watching the same episode twice. And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, basically the first episode they do this, like they create the app and do all this stuff." And I think you had said how you had accidentally watched or it was either you or Brian had watched the second episode or the 10th episode, the season finale, right after the first on HBO Go. It,
that was not me. It must have been Ryan.
yeah, it must have been Schwood, but I'm like, that's an interesting thing to have happen. Like you just basically watch the same episode twice, but also would really mess up. I ain't got time to TV. But yeah, so and we said that news story right there, just a quick little stinger thing to lead into our first show, which is the second season premiere of Silicon Valley. Now, sorry, chewing up a cough drop right now. Now, what were your thoughts on this? Because we had the funeral of Peter Gregory on here. We have the new Peter Gregory type character, basically the lady who took his place, and all of it. It seemed almost a little repetitive of the first episode from the first season.
That's exactly what I thought. It felt very familiar. And the thing is, for me, Silicon Valley didn't start very strong in the first season. It finished on some great stuff. Most of all of them all whiteboarding the how many people could they jerk off at once in the room at the TechCrunch Disrupt, which I now have a very weird image in my head since but since Sarah Lane went over to TechCrunch, I have Sarah Lane is a very friend.
You're like, wait, there's my numbers.
I've eaten pie with Sarah Lane. I bought the pie, but it was very nice. She brought me a slice of the pie and everything, and so I don't want to picture her in a situation associated with TechCrunch and this sort of thing going on around her. I respect her too highly, and I don't think that she would find that agreeable.
Yeah, I mean it is interesting because I look at it from the standpoint of, wait, because I didn't even think about that at the time, but it's like, wait, that would throw off the numbers. Their calculations will be wrong now if she's a judge for Disrupt. Like, I immediately will go for the comedy moment, but then it's like, yeah, that would be interesting, and I think they had a few other like tech pundit people on last year on the first season. So it's great. Like, that's one of the things like I would love to see. Like we're watching in the middle of season 2, and you're like, I ate pie with that lady.
Well, I think there was somebody who was on there that I assumed was from Snapchat, but I don't have all the ins of all these tech people. And then there were obviously the sports people from the A's at the beginning.
Giants.
But overall, yeah, no, it was the A's. I thought it was
Giants.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It was the Giants. For some, I saw something else about the Athletics today. Because sports, I know what I'm talking about.
Just go for the Detroit teams. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, I think the episode overall was just mostly fine. I like the stuff more with the core group, with them hanging out. I don't necessarily like them traveling all around and talking to all the different tech companies. It's like, I get that's the mentality of what the show is, but there wasn't enough comedy there. It just was a lot of the uncomfortableness, which works for a Curb Your Enthusiasm. It doesn't necessarily work for me from what I want out of a comedy show. That's part of the reason why I don't watch Curb Your Enthusiasm that much.
No, it is like interesting, and you say that, I'm like, but I just saw a show that had longer awkward pauses and all that, which we'll talk about later.
Was it one of our shows?
No. No. Well, it's one of the shows we'll be talking about.
Oh, okay. It just seems like there's a very long, awkward pause in between the episodes of the 616. So I thought maybe.
Gosh, it's been so long since we've done the 616. I'm like, wait, is there? But no.
I think we should do the next episode on the 16th of June.
There we go.
I don't even know what day that is. Yeah. So it's. I accept these things from different shows. I accept it from Community when Community starts off a little slow. The first couple episodes every season, it seems like it's like that. I think I said that the last time that we talked about Community. So Silicon Valley having a not stellar opening episode of the season to just sort of set the pace and set the ideas across, I don't have a problem with it. You know, I expect it'll get funnier again. There was still some funny moments, certainly, but
yeah, there was the funny moments where I enjoyed the negging the neg part in there, and then just like where I'm like, ooh, you've gone too far, and I'm like, holy crap, how far is too far? If I think what was the analogy? He literally just stuck his dick out and
he put his balls on the table.
Yeah, he put his balls on the table and just started smearing them all over.
Yeah.
Um,
Knight only really goes too far in real life in Silicon Valley when he's hosting parties there and pissing off people by calling women in the audience bitch. So yeah, he's not playing against type in the show.
yeah. But the so and special announcement. Corey has just said it. The return of the 616 will be on Tuesday, June 19th or June 16th.
Yeah, hold me to that. See how that goes. So yeah, Silicon Valley, it's still, it's still potentially very funny. I
Yeah.
just, it,
It,
it's at least if you enjoyed the last season, there's no reason why you wouldn't enjoy this episode. Uh, but when you have the expectation of how the last season kind of came together, finally, when the thing started to kind of coalesce, it was such a high point. You may be disappointed compared to that couple of episodes, but it will hopefully get there again. And
yeah.
we have a woman of power in the tech world now in their show, not just their friend who helps them out, but also the replacement for Peter Gregory.
For Peter Gregory, which it seems like it's her trying to do. I'm blanking on the guy's name, but the actor who played Peter Gregory, it's almost like she's trying to do a Peter Gregory
It
on
it
there.
it was a little similar.
Yeah, so that like that sort of threw me, but it's like, okay, it's like
He
I'll,
seemed more distracted. She seems more like doesn't want to be around people or touch people. He's
yeah,
just disinterested. She seems uncomfortable.
yeah,
That so there may be some quirks that we'll see, that some similarities, but some I expect some differences too.
no, yeah, um, but no, and I will say because of the fact that I watched this through HBO Now, the stream was really good. I think a lot of the issues, like minor issues I had, was more with my bandwidth than with HBO Now. Even handling Game of Thrones, it was like no big deal sort of thing, and it was like there was just like little minor buffering, but I think again it was on my part, and they're up right after, or not even right after, like I think it might be like 10:01 HBO now unlocks Game of Thrones, and then at like 10 or like a minute after it starts airing on the TV. It's not on HBO now, sort of deal, which is great. And same thing with Veep and Silicon Valley. I think it was like maybe after 15 minutes. Last week tonight, you had to wait a little bit longer, but whatever. Um, I usually watch it the next day, anyways. So our next show is the one I was talking about with the awkward pauses, and that's the Grace Helbig show. Because I saw you saw it, I'm like, oh yeah. So instead of even trying to jump into the 10th episode of Daredevil, I'm like, I'm gonna watch this. Maybe be able to squeeze out both episodes that have aired so far. Because I totally forgot. Because I only watch E for the Royals, and that's on Monday, like the next day after online. So
I'll occasionally watch E for the soup.
yeah. I used to, but it's like, if it's on and I remember, then I'll watch it. But
Right.
I'm not setting any reminders or anything like that. So the Grace Helbig show has aired 2 episodes so far. They air on what, Wednesdays? I want to say.
Fridays.
Oh, is it Fridays?
Yep.
But yeah, so it's just a weekly show, and I did not know what to expect, but I really enjoyed what I got with the first episode.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect either, because I've been telling myself that, and that's what I had heard originally, was that it was sort of the replacement for Chelsea Handler. It is in no way like the Chelsea Handler show at all. I think she could definitely do a show like that, but this is something unlike anything I've seen on regular TV. It's sort of, they wander around what I assume is her house, or at least a house that they're filming in, and she just kind of goes room to room and she does her bits, but then it leads into, and now we're going to talk to Nick Kroll, and now we're going to talk to Aisha Tyler, and she involves her friends from her online stuff with YouTube. We had Mamrie Hart in the first episode,
Yeah.
who was great, who I just saw was in a Lazy Boy commercial with Brooke Shields. I thought that was really awesome. Way to go, Mamrie Hart. Is it Mamrie Hart? I know it's kind of Hart.
Yeah, Mamrie Hart.
Mamrie Hart. I think the show is just perfectly descriptive of her personality and I don't want to say quirkiness because then it sounds like, oh, I'm quirky like Zooey Deschanel. That's not what she's like at all. She just has a very distinct personality that if you enjoy, then you're going to completely enjoy her on the show because it's really her. And there was a moment where she was talking about how people posting on Twitter and talking about the first episode, and somebody said something about her uncomfortably reading cue cards, and she's like, there are no cue cards. And she goes to the production guy, she's like, show me the any cue cards. They're like, there are no cue cards. That's just who she is. And I've enjoyed her comedy on At Midnight, which is really where I've seen her the most. I subscribe to her YouTube channel, but I don't watch YouTube that often.
Yeah. I know I got her a little bit towards the end of Attack of the Show. She would come on. I'd randomly see her on YouTube. It's not I wouldn't actively seek her out, and I don't think I subscribe to her channels, which is a shame on me. But it is this. It's really genuine to me, and that's one of the things I love about it. Is it's like, all right, this is almost how I would host a show if I was on TV, except it'd be a little bit more Jimmy Fallon, a little less Grace Helbig, a little bit more Jimmy Fallon, just in the excited stuff with it. But it'd be genuine excitement. It would be, it's something I'm liking that I'm seeing in talk shows now, is the very relaxed. Let's lose the structure from the old days with Jack Parr and Johnny Carson, and let's just have them sit down and have a conversation.
Well, Dave over at Galactic Netcast, Tasteful Dave Nelson, posted a question today, and he was asking people what is the geekiest thing that they're into, and I kind of posed, what I think geekiness encompasses, and I think it can be anything. I think anything that you're really truly passionate about, maybe even slightly super obsessive about, you are considered a geek about. And it doesn't have to be what we think of classically like comics or role-playing games or video games or whatever, but it can be sports, it can be cars, it can be any number of things. My wife recently got really into knitting. I don't know that she was a geek on it, but she just does it a lot, but I know people who are sewing geeks and knitting geeks. But I was thinking about it, and I'm like, when you get into what the classic geek, nerdy mindset is, 6 at least of our late night talk show hosts would consider themselves classic geeks. Fallon, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, I'm pretty sure Jon Stewart's up there, Conan O'Brien,
Larry
Jimmy
Wilmore.
Fallon. Yeah, they're all geeks. I mean, how Colbert would just break out with quotes from Lord of the Rings at any given time. It's kind of amazing that our culture has been so permeated by this stuff, which, back in my days, it was like, oh, you read comic books under the blankets at night when no one could see, is what we were told. It's like, oh, you're a geek, and it was an insult. These days, it's something that people strive for, and then they accuse other people of being fake geeks. Fake geeks! And now you've got Hardwick and Will Wheaton and Grace Helbig and Hannah Hardo and these people who basically made careers online, built up a following on YouTube and stuff because of their geekiness, because of just how much they love doing silly things. And it's not saying that they're not really comedians or that they're not really talented. It's just that they kind of built up something on their own that the world wouldn't have invested in, and now they're kind of taking over. And it's brilliant. It's amazing. It's nice to see them succeed in such a way, because it shows that what TV and what movies have kind of focused on for so many years, saying, well, people want this and people want this alone, and them kind of just determining it was all going to be the same kind of recycled stuff over and over again. And then people are like, no, we kind of like other things too, and we like very specific things, and we may not be the giant audience, but we're a composed audience that's going to be reliable towards that thing. So you may get 100,000 viewers as opposed to 1,000,000 viewers, but those 100,000 viewers showing up every weekday night for that thing, or showing up at the theater every time and spending the money, yeah, you don't make the multi-billion-dollar blockbuster for that, but you make a good movie that's going to keep pulling them back in because they're your audience. And I think it's a simple thing to nurture, but we've just had to kind of get them to accept that it's more than just what they've perceived, the same 5 formatted shows and the same, big giant blockbuster movies for so long.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the things that I saw today that you're reminding me of was they had Steve Lemmy on Table Talk from Broken Lizard. He was on there promoting the Indiegogo, which has already been one of the highest.
It blew past the goal immediately.
Yeah. And they've been adding more and more perks to the to it as their for their stretch goals for Super Troopers 2. And he was talking about some of the goals. Like one of them is for $100,000, they will be the godfather to your child. Yes, no, it's brilliant because he's explaining it like basically every year on their birthday they will get a present from them, and then once they turn for 21 years, and then once they're old enough for college, they will have a $100,000 college fund from them. So wow. Basically, you're just investing $100,000 in your kid to have 8 stoners be their godparent. And because they're doing all the funding, I didn't know this, but they're doing all the funding for the show. For the movie. They're like all the way from like filming, post production, and the marketing. Fox is not touching this movie. So they have the super ultimate goal of $25 million, and one of them will be the father of your child.
Godfather.
No. Father.
No, that's weird.
Father, but there's because Steve Lemmy is the one who's writing in all these perks. Like there's one that you go to a hockey game. I'm assuming it's hockey. I don't know, maybe it's the Canadian me coming out. With Ken Chandra's character. At first he was like for a half. No, it's the whole game. He's in character the whole time, uniform, everything. For the game, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But the $25 million one, which would be all the funding that they need to do every single thing, marketing, all that. They're like, yeah, little asterisk, up to it varies depending on the legal stuff, but yeah. And I'm like, okay, that is interesting. But there's some of the other ones that are great. There's some that you can win stuff for from the first movie, like the bear costume, the bulletproof cup.
I was waiting for the bulletproof cup.
Yeah, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really good, really funny stuff too.
Just saying, they're gonna have to resize it for me.
But no, it's like we're getting into this where you have the fans with enough, because they're all like, oh, well, when's Pot Fest coming out? Because they had Beer Fest, and at the end they promoted Pot Fest, and they joked that it would be Beer Fest, Pot Fest, Coke Fest. I think there's another drug, and then basically the end one would be Fuck Fest. And I'm like, all right, yeah, you have them all played out.
How much do I have to put in to get them to never get to Fuckfest? I do not want to see that. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is we look at the things like Patreon, we look at things like self-publishing on Amazon and all of this stuff, and it's an amazing time if you're a creator to find your audience, to build something and to grow it, but it's also really an amazing time if you're just a fan. If you're just someone who's looking for stuff that is really kind of geared towards you and what you want and what you're interested in, it's not hard to find it. It's kind of like people joke about looking up on the internet. If you just say some weird, obscure, like never heard of type of pornography,
Rule 34.
yeah, and you all of a sudden you're going to look it up on the internet and it's going to exist. It's like that with fandom now too. You can find just about anything, and help nurture it, help build it, help make it successful. And again, not necessarily the biggest thing in the world, but something that's going to keep happening because of support from someone like you, so that you keep getting the kind of programming that you want. And I think that's truly amazing.
Yeah, basically everyone realized that people will do the PBS drives, but not every 6 months. Sort of deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I forgot what show the Grace Helbig show. Wait, what show were we talking about? But no, the Grace Helbig show, I really enjoyed it. I haven't seen the second episode, but I do like the one guest will write a question for the next guest, and that sort of thing. That seems cool to me. So let's take a break. Or wait, should we talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then take a break? Because we got.
Yeah, let's go to. We'll do Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We'll just get it out of the way.
All right. So they're Inhumans, right? Like, that's basically what I'm waiting for at this point, is them to just say Inhumans.
Well, so yeah, we know that that's what they are. We know that that's what's going on. They haven't explained it in the show, and maybe they shouldn't explain it in the show. Yeah. What's a bigger deal is this week they announced that there's a possible spin-off show from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. happening. And everyone's kind of guessing what is going to be the spin-off. Now, spoilers for last week's episode if you didn't get to see it. While we're dealing with some of the fallout of the two different Shields and Coulson breaking away, and he's teamed up with Hunter now, while the other people are trying to kind of get Fitz and Simmons to work for them, and Fitz winds up taking off. But at the end of the episode, they surprised me. They bring him back, Deathlock.
Yeah,
who looks much better in the new updated costume than he did when they finally outfitted him last season. So you can see where the budgets are improving, where things are getting a little bit higher end on these things. So now the question is, people are saying, well, what's going to be the other spin-off show? Some people are assuming it's going to be Deathlock. Some people are assuming it's going to be Mockingbird. Some people think it might be two Shields having shows at the same time, and some people think it's going to be an Inhumans program.
Yeah, I mean, and I did talk about this. Well, not talk about. I posted the story on this on the Splash page last week. And ain't it cool? I believe they were going with the Bobby Morse led team for the spinoff. But like it seems like we are at a point right now that would be perfect for like a perfect territory for the split off or for a spinoff show. Whether because there's any sort of deal right now, any sort of characters right now that we could follow from here to the other show, and it would work. I mean, like with doing the anthology show over at CW with Adam. With Adam and Snart and Heatwave and all those, that seems a little stretched. And Katie Lott's playing White Canary is a rumor I heard. I'm like, wait, what? White Canary?
That is a rumor, and they're introducing characters like Rip Hunter and Hawkgirl and more. That at least it feels like they've been creating a universe show. You know, they've been creating a universe within the two programs that they have, so opening up a third one, and possibly something having to do with Supergirl too, just because that show's happening on a different network, but still has been said that it's continuously tied to the other shows that are going on from Berlanti and company. That I can kind of see, because they have the whole universe.
Yeah.
The thing that confuses me about the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. spinoff, other than Agent Carter, which was a different time period in sort of the history of Shield, and a character that was introduced in the films, is that it's stretching out a world that is already stretched out in so many different things. It's stretched out in the Marvel films. The Marvel universe is stretched into now the Netflix series. So what is it that Agents of Shield needs to spin off for? And there is a lot there. There's so many things that it could be, but if it's a Deathlock show, then it's a superhero show.
Yeah.
And we've got an understanding of that. If it's a Mockingbird show, then it's still sort of a spy show. If it's an Inhuman show, then it seems very confusing to me because it sort of possibly pulls Skye out of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it preempts what the Inhumans movie is.
But
We're already worried they're doing too much with the Inhumans,
yeah.
considering the movie is still several years away.
But do you think that if it is, because right now the two that seem to work the most for me would be a Deathlock series or a Inhuman series, but it's more of the fact that Deathlock it would be they could almost do the I'm blanking on the writer's first name, but the Edmondson's comic book. Right,
Nathan Edmondson.
Nathan Edmondson, that's writing the book right now. Like, that would be really... Wait, hold on. Is Deathlock's son still alive in the show?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's perfect. You could literally just do this where you have this tweaked, like, on mode, off mode sort of deal and do the Nathan Edmondson comic book. I don't think they would, but...
Well, here's my problems with it, is that we're just now seeing a trickling in of superpowers on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is good.
Yeah.
But if you make it that your whole show is built around superpowers, budgetary concerns, story-wise concerns, villain of the week kind of things, how well can another show at this level pull this off? And so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. can kind of dance around it. They can have superpowers some episodes, but since most of the characters don't have it, it's not hugely a big portion of what the show is.
Yeah.
It's normal people living in a superpowered world, but then they also have a ton of spy stuff and things that they can kind of avoid it for a few episodes and save up the budget for those big effects when they need them. If you do a Deathlock show, it seems like those effects are going to be in there more. Unless he's Deathlock and not fighting other superpower characters, but that's going to seem very lopsided in his favor.
Yeah, that is essentially the comic. That is essentially the Nathan Edmondson comic. Deathlock is the biggest superpower, but we get tied into the with S.H.I.E.L.D. because of the fact that there is the on-off switch of Deathlock and the guy who thinks he's just a good Samaritan doctor, going over into war zones and helping people that are, just to the civilians and whatnot. Which if I will say this right now because it's not a comic show, but if you're not reading this book, it's a good book. I mean, it's probably gonna be ending here soon. Or at least taking a break for Secret Wars.
And that's the other thing, too, is that Deathlock has never been a really hugely bankable property.
Yeah.
And the guy who plays the Mike Richards character on the show has not been a hugely bankable actor. And the character has only had a few cameos in here, a couple at the beginning when he wasn't even Deathlock yet. So... that doesn't scream to me spin-off. It doesn't scream to me safe enough to do a spin-off yet.
Yeah.
Adrian Palacki has definitely done films. Was going to be the lead in a Wonder Woman TV series just a couple years ago. Even though the show was terrible, she was not. She's very good. Her playing Bobby Morse in the season has been very well received. I think even in some cases more than some of the other characters who were there to begin with. People are excited about Mockingbird more, probably
Hmm.
because she's Mockingbird, but also because of who the actress is. I think that that would make more sense. The Inhumans, we already know that the person who plays Reyna is leaving for another TV series. So we'd really have no other connection to them to jump over to besides the one or two characters they've introduced us to so far, and Sky if Sky were to go. And as Beatmaster is saying, he wouldn't mind Sky going away because she's not a lot of people's favorite character on the show either. She was unfortunately poorly written in the first season, and it's made it difficult for people to connect with her, even as her character's gotten better in this season. And then they sort of Mary suit her by giving her powers too, by turning her into Daisy and into Quake.
No,
Whereas
yeah,
if she'd just been a better, if she had gotten trained into just being a better agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. as Sky, which she was doing, I think that was more interesting than when they took her to make her an Inhuman. I'll just be honest with it. I don't think it was the wisest move in the world, but I can see that they were using it as their in to get the Inhumans in there and get powers in there. I'm not super enthused with the introduction of powers into the show when they did it. I felt like the Hydra thing was going really well, and we were getting, we weren't drowning in it, but it wasn't really done yet. And then they introduced powers at the same time of introducing this other shield. It seems a little scatterbrained. I'm still really loving the show, but I feel like maybe they jumped too soon on those other things. Which I argue sometimes that it's good that they move. It's good that they keep going forward. But I feel like maybe this was a lot to introduce at once, and it was to the detriment of people maybe developing an enjoyment of Sky's character more.
yeah,
Because she was starting to have some growth and starting to be kind of cool. Certainly, her shooting Ward in that moment of like, I'm not just lovey-dovey after you like you kept thinking I was, and everything kind of proved that she had the balls to do it. It proved that she was getting trained well by May, that she was a better agent than what people were giving her credit for. But then they immediately usurped that by saying, okay, and now you're this Inhuman character. And killing Trip, which is another thing that pissed me off.
yeah. I mean,
So I don't know that the Inhumans has enough to draw us into another series either. And if there is that, then I have a feeling it's at best going to be a series like a Smallville or like what Berlanti's doing on some of his shows, uh, which I don't know how well they could do that. The same thing with the powers again. It's like the powers work in small doses, but when you make everybody, the whole race, kind of be what the show's about, then you're going to have to deal with a lot of it.
yeah, and I don't know. The Inhumans one, if they did Inhumans and called it Afterlife or something instead of at that place, it would still make more sense because it would be a little bit more drama, and then with some splashes of superpowers. Like those would be the ones where you tell they spent the budget on in those episodes. And you could almost use a season out of that to be the origin story for the Inhumans before the Inhuman movie. Um, and do half a season to it as it's like a second half of a season before the launch of the movie to give us the origin story. Because I think when Kevin Feige said that there is no origin story, I think he meant only in the movies, if I'm not mistaken.
They're avoiding origin stories in the films
Yeah,
because it. But I don't think that means that they're not going to tell us how people got to where they are. I
yeah,
think it's just they're not concentrating on making it the whole story is like, and here's where Uncle Ben dies again, which they've now confirmed that is the same with the Spider-Man movie too, is that they're not going to do an origin story. It's going to be Peter Parker still in high school, but he will have been Spider-Man for an established amount of time.
yeah, which is good. But yeah, Agents of Shield, I'm still enjoying the show. It's getting interesting. Next week's episode, or tomorrow's episode for when we're recording this right now, is it should be really good. And plus seeing Sky's mom, like I'm sitting there going, that lady, oh, like it took me a good second. I'm like, wait, that's Sky's mom. What?
I recognize her from Dollhouse,
Yeah,
and the guy who was on Agent Carter, who had the cane, who had gotten injured in the war and stuff. He was from Dollhouse too. So
nice.
I always remember them distinctly from that. They were characters I was like, who is this? Why are they
Well,
taking the Showtime? And it's like, oh wait, these people are great. These people are better than the leads on the show.
no,
Uh,
but it was just this moment where I'm sitting there like, she looks familiar, and I haven't seen Dollhouse, and all that, but I'm like, she looked like I just saw her 6 months ago because I saw her 6 months ago on Agents of Shield, sort of deal. It was one of those like I'm like, oh,
oh
okay, there we
yeah.
go, that works. Um,
Dollhouse is another one of those Whedon shows where you have to get through a good number of episodes before it starts to get
I
really,
think
really good.
yeah, and I think that was the problem is like I tried to get into Dollhouse at the time like when it came out, and I'm like, no, and then
It's
like
it's probably like 6 episodes or so before it's like, oh, but
I think I gave up after four, so it's
yeah,
like I
and
was like,
that's a problem. That I don't blame you. I felt like that too. I was like, oh, Dollhouse. And it's finally one day it's like, oh, Dollhouse.
yeah. I don't know. It was one of those like I think that aired along the same time of Sarah Connor Chronicles. So it's like I was
Yes.
trying to watch both of them, but then it was just one of those um like like it just sort of fell off my radar, and I'm like, all right, whatever.
Beatmaster just said Dollhouse was Orphan Black before Orphan Black. Very astute. That is, I would not have thought that, but that is a great way of looking at it.
Yeah. Which again, there's another comic book that is so good right there is the Orphan Black comic book from IDW. Um, it does a really good thing of or way of filling in the gaps for season one, like putting in a lot of depth to that. All because it's again this isn't a comic book show, but the first issue is almost exactly the pilot, but it's still it's really good.
To get your bearings, yeah.
Yeah. But here, so let's do starts and stops before we jump into the movie draft while I put on chapstick because my lips are feeling messed up. Um, but yeah, starting on Tuesday, you have um, on at 8 p.m. on Bravo. Oh wait, no, sorry, not Bravo. On Discovery Life Channel, I think that's what DLC is. A special Little People or Little Person Boston Strong, a 1 hour special presentation. And then at 10 p.m. on FX, Corey, one of your favorite shows, has its series finale. Justified ends tomorrow
It
at
is,
10 p.m.
yeah. The final episode. God, it's coming together so well. I've been reading for quite a while the Raylan Givens stories by uh, Elmore Leonard,
Mhm.
the writer who created the character. And the first 2 books are just about Raylan, and then the third book is a couple short stories, and then it's a story that he wrote, I think, after the show had already started, because it's introducing the Boyd Crowder character in the story. I just started the first page of it today. I flipped over to it from one of the short stories in the book. So I'm going to be finishing this book right after the show itself ends, and I don't know how much I want to read or if I just want to try to sit there and savor it a little bit more,
Yeah,
uh, because it has been one of my favorite shows of all time. It's just been phenomenal. Um, and even with the last few episodes of getting everything sort of closing up, I'm not disappointed yet. I'm also going to mention at 9 o'clock on E is the second season premiere of Botched. If I ever did a segment on this show about the shows that my wife watches, it's going to be called Tuned Out, where she's just like, "Hey, I'm going to watch a marathon of Pretty Little Liars for the next 2 months." Well, here's the blinders. And Botched is one that she started getting into. She was watching him on demand yesterday. So that's going to be my new hell.
yeah. Um, and then let's see what else is there. and also at 10 p.m. on USA, you have the second season finale of Sirens, another really good show that they don't put enough money in their advertising for on USA. At 10:15, you have the series premiere on FYI of Arranged, which, talk about putting money in, holy crap, are they advertising the crap out of the show? That looks a little like crap. But yeah, moving on to Wednesday at 9:31, you have a new episode at a special time on ABC of The Goldbergs.
So they're playing 2 episodes of Goldbergs that night. They're playing one at 8:30, and then they're playing the other one at 9:31.
Yeah, exactly. They got new episodes. I was just talking about this with Beatmaster earlier because ABC's doing this weird thing where I don't think we've had straight for the whole 2-hour block. I don't think we've had, since February, I want to say, since early February, where the whole 2 hours was for the 4 shows. Because this one, this week it's
Modern Family's a repeat again.
Modern Family's a repeat, and Blackish isn't even airing this week.
Right, which is strange.
Yeah, because it seemed like you would do a repeat of Modern Family, but whatever. And then at 11:15 on Bravo, you have a new episode at a special time of Watch What Happens Live. On Thursday, not a whole lot. At 8:30, I believe this is the special that came out first on Xbox, but the Atari, it's a 66-minute special presentation, Atari Game Over, which I want to say it's that one that Ernie Klein was involved in.
Is it the one where they're burying they've unburied the E.T. games?
I want to say it is. I didn't look at it, and there's no information whatsoever on when I click the link below, so I don't know why I put the link in there. But yeah, so we'll just go with it and say it might be it. That might be it. On Friday at 12 midnight, so Thursday at midnight, you have the series premiere on FXX for Major Lazer. Tongue twister right there. Didn't even mean it for it. And then at 12:15 a.m. You have also on FXX, you have the second season premiere of Axe Cop. So if you're missing Nick Offerman, there you go. You get his voice as he smashes stuff.
By the way, yes, Atari Game Over is about the E.T. video game and the Atari system. IGN did a review of it. It said, "Did one bad game really cause the video game crash of 1983?"
Well, I will find out. And then at 3:01 a.m. on Netflix, you have the special presentation of Chris D'Elia, I think that's how you say it, in Corrigal. D'Elia, that's it. And then at 8 p.m. on CW, you have the series premiere of Cedric's Barber Battle. This episode, I guess, taking place in Long Beach. ABC has the 4th season finale of Last Man Standing. At 8:30 on the CW, you have the 11th season supposed to be premiere of Whose Line Is It Anyway? And then it says it's the first season finale on Disney Channel of Girl Meets World, but it's a special episode where it's called Girl Meets What the What. It's tying with their promotion thing that they're doing this weekend. But it's in between season 1 and season 2, which season 2 will be coming back in May. I got curious and went on Wikipedia. And then at 8:31 on ABC, you have the first season finale of Cristela. 9 p.m. CW has the series premiere of the Messengers, which is a show we talked about a long time ago. 10 p.m. on Sci-Fi, you have the fifth and final season premiere of Lost Girl. I believe it's the final season. On Saturday, at 8 p.m. on Fox, you have the Fox Sports Special, the UFC on Fox 15. At 9 p.m., as Beatmaster mentioned earlier, you have the 3rd season premiere of Orphan Black. And VH1 has a special called The Ride, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. It's a 1 hour special presentation at 10 p.m. And I might talk about this on next week's Pod Save the Queen. The series premiere of Tattoo. I don't know how you pronounce that. And it's got someone from the In-Betweeners movie, so I'm intrigued. And then at 11 p.m. on BBC America, the 17th season premiere of The Graham Norton Show. On Sunday at 8 p.m. on CBS, you have the special presentation, the 50th Annual Academy of Country Music Awards.
They've been playing commercials for this for like a month. First of all, the ACM Awards, don't we already have the CMAs? Do we need another country music award show? It's bad enough that country music is broken off into its own category for its own reward shows, but now there's
well, the to that same thing, you could almost say the MTV VMA Awards don't need to exist because one, MTV don't play music videos anymore, and two, we have the Teen Choice Awards, the People's Choice Awards, the Billboard Music Awards.
I don't understand why you use the word almost. Yes, I'm saying that. I'm absolutely saying that.
So I mean, it's like, hey, here, let country music have their own 2 award shows. They have the CMT award, 3 award shows.
I'm sure there's like a Nashville Country Music Award and everything else. It's oh man,
pretty soon we'll have the What Else Is On Awards, the What Else Is On Video Awards, the What Else Is On Comic Awards, the 616 Video Awards, all that stuff.
Well, for your 616 award, we'll give you nothing because that's how long it's been since there was a show.
It's sad but true. And then at 10 p.m. on Discovery Channel, you have the 4th season premiere of Naked and Afraid. And then on Monday,
should give them a towel.
Yeah, on Monday at 6:30 p.m. you have on Game Show Network the series premiere of Lie Detectors. This is the new show by Rove McManus, stars Rove McManus. And then at 9 p.m. on CBS, you have the 1st season finale of Scorpion. 10 p.m. has the time slot premiere of AMC's Turn. Washington's Generals is the full title of it. And then at 11 p.m. on Nat Geo is the series premiere of Star Talk. Yes, first episode will have George Takei. And then over at the final curtains, ABC has officially renewed How to Get Away with Murder. Weird Loners is in danger of being canceled. It's at a 1. American Odyssey, which I think is an NBC show. I don't know why I have it as NBC, but that's a typo. Is on the bubble, like exactly on the bubble. And as Evan pointed out last week, New Girl has been renewed. Has officially been renewed. And that is it for starts and stops. And hey, we can end the summer movie draft right now, right?
Yeah, shut up.
But yeah, we have our summer movie draft that we watched. You could watch that that video from last Wednesday. And I'm winning with $13.5 million. Everyone else has not.
It's a runaway.
Yeah, it's a runaway. Well, if you look at it, right now, $4.5 million for the purchase, like gross over purchase price. So that's pretty good, if I say so myself.
No one else is going to say it, so you go ahead.
And this week we have Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 and Unfriended coming out, my other 2 movies, so I will enjoy a good 2-week buffer before I get destroyed by Evan, who blew 70% of his budget on this movie, on one movie. But yeah, and that has been our little break with the movie draft and starts and stops. So the big show that we watched this week, Daredevil. We will roughly be spoiling the first 9 episodes because I've seen the first 9. Corey's seen the first 10. Evan, who doesn't talk on here, has seen the first 6, so he might get spoiled on 3 of them.
I can honestly say there's not a lot to spoil you on with the 10th episode. The 10th episode rolls right out from the 9th episode, so
Yeah.
if you got to the ending of that, you're not hugely spoiled on what number 10 is.
Well, that and the name of the 10th episode is Murdoch versus Nelson.
Right.
So, like, oh, okay, that's how we're getting to there. But yeah, so I've seen all, like, as I said, the first 9 episodes. I believe I might have seen the Stan Lee cameo that I mentioned on the splash page this morning, which was, oh, you didn't see it?
I did not.
I don't know what episode it's in exactly, but it's really hard to find. You don't see him like in person. It's more like how Alfred E. Newman is always in my screenshot.
Okay.
Almost exactly like that. Actually, now that I'm saying it, it's like it's in a police station. He's a police officer, and it's great. It's really creative to where they don't have to stick to doing here's Stanley and he has a line or two. Like,
right.
Like in the article they said that the Wolverine is the only other movie that he didn't have a visual, like, oh, it's Stan Lee and he's talking cameo, but they had a beer named after him.
Right. And they planned on giving him a cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy, but it didn't come together.
He was in one of the collector's cages, but it wasn't. I don't think it was him or something.
He was supposed to be. It didn't actually happen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was after the fact, kind of like what we would have done, what we wanted to do, and what we had planned was this. In the original Daredevil film, not the original, not the made-for-TV Trial of the Incredible Hulk film, but in the Daredevil movie from Fox.
You're Evan or Beats just pointed out that so they had something different besides him talking and flirting with the one girl. Like, it was the collector is what they were wanting to do, but they had to do reshoots. Is that what happened? Because like right as soon as he's like Beat goes, Stanley was in Guardians, and it's the flirting part, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. But then I remember something like with him being with the collector as well.
I can't remember him being in that because it would ruin the fact that Star-Lord was supposed to be the only human.
The only Terran, like, from Earth.
Right. But so unless Stan was playing an alien, I missed it.
He's playing a humanoid, but it fully is Stan Lee. It's in the scene where Rocket is looking for bounties, right before he meets Star-Lord. He's flirting.
I'll have to watch it again.
Yeah, he's flirting with an alien. It's Stan Lee flirting with a young alien, which is
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say in the Fox Daredevil movie, he was the person that he was saved by Matt Murdock from crossing the street when Matt was still a little boy, when he was already blind, I think is the scene, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so
sorry, I read what Pete said. But no, yeah, so the Daredevil TV show, which I will point out, one of my friends that I play Minecraft with, we were watching it this weekend, and he goes, yeah, if you don't like the Daredevil movie, this is a great palate cleanser of that.
Oh, wow. All right, in comparison to other superhero TV shows, any of them, you can go back as far, well, you can't, but The Greatest American Hero, you can include Smallville, you can include the current Marvel shows, you can include the current DC shows, any of them. Where in your opinion does this stand?
Oh gosh, I would have to go with this. It's really high up there with all the TV shows, and I'm including the cartoons for me, where the cartoons are the like the Spider-Man cartoon from '94 is up there. The X-Men cartoon is up there for me. And Evan has the link for.
Yeah, I see it. Yep, I remember it now.
But no, So it's interesting to me because of the fact that we can get gritty with this, and it's like right off the bat, it's like, all right, yeah, we're gonna get gritty. But so I would say overall, it's probably top three for me of of shows.
What are the competitors?
Um, Probably Flash um and the '94 Spider-Man would be it. Out of the ones I vividly remember, and out of it, so and Batman the Animated Series is up there too. Evan's
Batman
bringing up.
and the Animated Series is definitely probably where I would say is the top show overall.
Hmm.
But as far as a live action show, I cannot argue with anybody who would say that this is the best that it's been.
Yeah.
This show just blew me away with how well done it is.
Oh yeah.
How just incredibly impeccably acted, scripted, directed,
Sound
uh,
edited even.
sound edited. And here's the thing: Beatmaster has talked about how he can't really watch the Banshee fight scenes, and I understand why. I absolutely understand why. The fight scenes in this are so different from what I expected, and stand apart from anything that I've seen in a superhero or action show. It's just miles above what I could have thought that they were going to do. Because the fighting style is very distinct. It's realistic. It seems to make a sense of who he is, the way that he fights. The style is he pulls people sort of towards him. He doesn't go at them as often. There are those times when he like leaps out of nowhere and comes at them. But for the most part, when you see him fighting, it's people coming at him, and it's him avoiding getting hit at the last second. Or when he takes a hit, he really takes a hit. There's the unrealistic things, of course, where he's taken so many body slashes and stuff, where he's taken the glaive to the gut, and he's still on his feet somehow. But more often than not, he's getting his ass handed to him.
Hmm.
But it's the trait he shares with his dad is the ability to keep getting hit and keep getting up. It's perfectly suited to who the character is. It's a statement in itself of who the character is. I just can't believe how good this show is. You know, there's no sour point. I thought Foggy might be, and I love the character, and I more love the actor, not just because of the Mighty Ducks, but also because he's the guy that Glenn Rubenstein always says reminds people of him. But he's been great at this. He's been heroic.
Yeah.
He's been intelligent. He's not just played for comic relief. I mean, he is the funnier guy out of the show, but he's not played up in just that part, and that is something that I would have expected. The Deborah Ann Woll as Karen Page has been amazing in this. The way that they've played her relationship with Foggy, they've really given her very little time with Matt at all. But it all feels realistic and smart. I love the way that the episodes play into each other directly. It's like when one episode ends and the next episode starts, it feels like this is just the next scene, sort of. But it also feels like if I wasn't watching them all in a row, that this could be a legitimate place to take a break, to have that week waiting. It's like watching what I watched of it was 10 hours worth of a movie.
Yeah.
An incredibly well done movie. I am not the biggest Daredevil fan at all. He's not one of my top characters, and I can't say that I wasn't looking forward to the show, but I was looking forward to the show because of its ties to the Marvel Universe in general, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But this is just blowing me away with how good it is.
No, yeah. I mean, for me too, and it's like the first two episodes were written by Drew Goddard, and then it's where we start getting into other people because of his commitments and all that. But watching, and actually where I ended, the episode was written by Christos Gage, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw that.
Um,
And
but
if Drew Goddard wrote those first two episodes and he's dealing with Spider-Man next, I finally have a Spider-Man movie to look forward to.
yeah, no, exactly. Um, okay, and I'm on. Eldon Henson is the actor who plays Foggy Nelson.
Yes.
Who's Fulton Reed? I don't remember him
Fulton
from the Mighty
Reed?
Ducks. Is his character from the Mighty Ducks? I don't
Yes,
remember.
he was in the first one and he was one of the Bash brothers in the second one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now I remember. I'm like, wait.
Yeah,
For
him
some,
and Pacey were like the two main guys for all three films essentially.
yeah. Um, I didn't even that didn't even click until you said. I'm like,
That's
oh
right. Ducks trivia coming from this guy.
yeah. But no, the like I said, I love the sound editing on here, and it's sort of great because of the fact that it's a Daredevil movie or a Daredevil TV show. Like it's almost like if Hawkeye were to get his own TV series, it'd have to be very visually stunning because of the fact that he's deaf, sort of deal. Or at least if they'd stick to
If
the
they played him
comic.
deaf, yeah.
Yeah. Um, but I love how they do flashbacks. Like in the first two episodes, especially, it's it ties in fluidly with the story, um, almost to where whenever Matt is unconscious, it's a flashback. It goes into a flashback, a little bit like Lego Batman. I will add with the Arrow level. um,
Yeah, this
and
show does flashbacks right.
yes,
Listen up, Arrow. This show does flashbacks right.
but and then the origin story for Kingpin, which I don't know how it was from the comic books, but I love this origin story.
Yeah, Kingpin's
Um,
another one of those characters. I never cared for Kingpin as a
yeah,
villain. He's just a fat Lex Luthor. But
that
he
was
was killing it on the show.
yeah. Like if you were to ask me right now, it'd be really hard, but I would have to go Michael Clark Duncan. This is pre Daredevil. Michael Clark Duncan's Daredevil from the or Kingpin from the movie, just over the animated series one, and it's just because of the physicality that he puts into it that he almost embodies what they were trying to do with the animated '94 Spider-Man with the
Yeah,
Kingpin. But
and
then you
and
have
the thing
and
that
now,
they've done, at least up until episode, I think episode 9, or maybe it's episode 9. We don't really see the physicality of the Kingpin. We have one specific scene dealing with the Russians,
which
but
is
we haven't seen
horrifying.
him get, really into fisticuffs until that moment when he's fighting Daredevil in the building after Daredevil was already torn up from. That's the other thing that I like about this too, is that the Kingpin isn't the only person that's in charge of everything. It's the different factions, and while there is that obvious changing of how the status quo in that, it's not just him means that we're building on that too. He's not just some ultimate villain guy. In the first few episodes, he's not even there. You don't even see him.
Yeah,
That's amazing to me too, is that they don't just reveal it all at the very beginning. It's a slow build. They treat this show with such care because they know it's a show and they have the room to do this. But they don't also stretch things out so far because they're not doing 22 episodes or 24 episodes to fill up a season on regular TV. So it's just 13 just perfectly paced, smartly written, excellent episodes.
yeah. I mean, it is so beautifully done, and I really love how they do Foggy. With and I love how they're portraying Wilson Fisk again. Like I think the most you see out of the first three episodes even is you just hear his voice. I don't think you see him until the end of the third, if not the fourth episode. And this just it's beautiful storytelling. This is what I want from the rest, like from AKA Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Um,
Well,
Iron
I
Fist.
want them to be this good,
Yeah, no,
obviously.
yeah,
I
that's
don't
good.
want them to be the same stylistically necessarily. There's going to have to be some kind of component that gets them to be able to match up to get to a Defenders series at the end. And I kind of, in watching this, I finally realized why they're using the name Defenders, because that does seem at the heart of it what everybody in this is doing is they're all defending something.
Hmm.
Foggy is, Karen is, Matt is, Daredevil is, Ben Urich is. They are all, and they're defense attorneys, which kind of helps. But when you look at what the other shows are probably going to be, with this as the first step in, I can see now why they chose that name as opposed to Heroes for Hire. Uh,
Yeah,
Heroes for Hire is still a really excellent thing that they could have used, but I can see Defenders now.
yeah, and um, the guy who plays James Wesley, I was sitting there going through the whole thing. I'm like, where have I seen this dude before? Like, and I was talking with my friend. I'm like, we're like, yeah, he like, and I looked up. I had to find his IMDb page. And I'm like, oh, he was in White Collar.
Yeah,
That's where I saw him before. Um, and all, like, but it's so I'm thoroughly and in John Wick. I haven't seen John Wick, so I couldn't have seen him in John Wick.
I actually have.
Um,
They had John Wick available from Amazon streaming for 99 cents. They had some promotion last week, so I've paid for it. I just haven't started to watch it yet.
yeah,
Busy, busy week.
but no, yeah, it's oh gosh, it's so brilliant. I like how they're doing this. I hate to say
And
this.
Rosario Dawson as Claire slash night nurse, Karen Page, two very good
Yeah,
actresses, of course, but characters. You know, not written to do dumb things, not written to complain and just point out to the guy, oh, you never give us a chance because you're so driven by your mission and things. We get more of that from somebody else down the road, but it's so well done, and it's kind of killing me that shows that I thought I really liked before are gonna be dim in comparison to this.
yeah. Um, but and I hate to say this, but there's part of me, and I was again talking with my friend on that I play Minecraft with. I brought up this idea of instead because I thought it was going to be a Defenders movie that was the culmination of these, but then like once that's over, sort of like how the Marvel
I think
Cinematic Universe
episode miniseries.
is it okay.
That's what
Um,
I remember it being.
okay. Um, but once they're done with it, it's sort of like doing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where we go on to something different. We do a like Punisher, Red Hulk, um, Elektra, and then like do a fourth that I'm blanking on, and then have that culminate in a Thunderbolts miniseries or movie sort of deal.
The thing is that there's so much that they can do, and they have the room to do it now. It's it, the trailer for Ant-Man came out today. The actual full real movie trailer came out, and people who were naysaying it before, same sort of thing that happened with Guardians, are like, "There's no way this is going to be that good" or anything. They're saying, "Well, this looks really good." You know, it's not the same reaction as Guardians got, and it's certainly not the same reaction that an Avengers or Captain America 2 would get, but it looks really good, and it's what Marvel has been doing is they've just been doing things right. And I can't imagine that if they decided they wanted to do uh, the show with the Red Hulk and the Punisher and that with the Thunderbolts in the end, I think they'd have a pretty good plan to do it. I think
Yeah,
that they would be able to pull it
it's
off.
well, it was mainly the dark, the grittiness of from watching Daredevil. I'm like, oh, so they can go really dark and gritty with Punisher then if they wanted to, and probably end up doing the same thing with these guys and do a gritty, and then do Thunderbolts and it be it'd be good too, and all that stuff too. It was just me thinking like on down the road, like instead of season 2 of Daredevil and season 2 of AKA Jessica Jones and all that, do this instead, or maybe like these be the two things that you swap in.
I don't think they'd have to abandon one for the other. I think that they're picking and choosing. You know, people are coming to them. People are saying, "I want to work on a Marvel project. I want to be a part of something." And this again, this was something that was brand new. This was not we're putting on to Disney's ABC station. Not we're putting out another movie. This is the Netflix thing, and this is a comparison to a House of Cards or an Orange is the New Black. So it's exciting from that standpoint too. But to perform at this level is still incredible. I've had people that I've seen talking about it, comparing it to The Wire. They're saying that's the level of show this is.
Nice.
And I have not seen The Wire. But I'm not surprised because this is up there for me right now at a level of my favorite shows. I would put this up there next to Justified as, like, I just can't believe how good this is. And I don't think they're going to want to let up. Now, obviously, with different showrunners, different actors, different stories, what happens with Jessica Jones? What happens with Luke Cage? What happens with Danny Rand? And what finally happens with Defenders? I'm not afraid that it's going to like suddenly drop downhill. I'm just excited to see what they do with it. But obviously, yeah, you can't maintain forever.
Yeah, to quote Silicon Valley, it is best, and Danny Rand is Iron Fist there, Evan.
Yeah.
But to quote Silicon Valley, it is better to start low so you have room to grow instead of start high and not have and only go down from there.
Yeah. But what were the expectations? Everybody was excited. Oh, they're going to do a Daredevil show. Awesome. I've seen the commercials. It looked really good.
Yeah.
It did not look this good.
Yeah.
It couldn't. Because this is something that you could not get from a preview. This is not something you could get from a 2-minute commercial. This is something you had to see. Every moment on the show, no part has been wasted. No part has been like, oh, that was unnecessary or dumb, or why do they even bother doing that? That's just for shtick, or that's just to please the fans. Like, this thing was handled with care, with intelligence, with integrity. I can't. I'm gushing over this goddamn show.
Yeah, and so and real quick, slight programming note, because I know in the title it does say Game of Thrones. If you're watching live, I'm gonna try to change it. We'll talk about we'll talk about Game of Thrones next week because I don't want to spoil too much. Although I will say my typical thing, it was good. It's really good. But we'll talk about that next week, so Corey can see it.
Am I gonna have nightmares?
No.
Is there a wedding in it?
No.
Okay.
No. I believe they're setting up for that wedding. They're going to call it the Blue Wedding, and nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, because blue, you just feel sore afterwards.
Yeah.
No, I just because Game of Thrones is a show like The Walking Dead that I watch with my wife. It is one of the grand things that we do get to share together. I was not able to watch it last night because she was working, and I don't cheat on my wife when it comes to TV shows or anything else. Except I'm eating the cookies that I made for her.
He will cheat on his diet, but not on his wife.
What diet?
It was just a saying there.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I obviously I don't have a problem with spoilers on things. On certain things, I get a little bit torqued just when it's not really clear how spoilery things are going to get. Yeah. I don't mind being spoiled on Game of Thrones.
No, it's
if you wanted to talk about it.
No, it's. I really enjoyed it. I think it would be better to talk next week. Maybe we'll talk about the first 2 episodes. Maybe we'll only talk about the first episode. But no, it's really good because a lot of the stuff I would have talked about today anyways, I talked about during Silicon Valley, and that was how surprisingly good the HBO Now stream of it was, and how quick, because it was literally, I think it comes out, what, 9 p.m. here East Coast, 9:01, HBO Now had it unlocked. And then for Veep and Silicon Valley, 10:15, 10:30, or 10:40 for those shows respectively, they were up available to watch. And I'm like, that's good. But then it does bring up the fact that Brian Brushwood said of, you could be that dick and post the spoiler at the end of Game of Thrones on Twitter before anyone's even seen it.
Yes,
and all that.
You absolutely could. And why be that guy? That's all I can say is why be that guy? And if you're not that guy, but that guy's in your friends list, why are you friends with that guy?
Yeah.
Why would you put up with that in your life?
No, yeah.
We spoil stuff on here, but we're upfront about it. We say we're going to spoil stuff. That's what the show is about. It's talking about the shows that we watch, the shows that we enjoy, and we go into the details of them. If it's something that's really out there of like, oh my god, I can't believe this happened, sometimes we'll skip it just because it's like it's too much of a spoiler. It's one thing to say, oh, this character died, and that's what the episode was about. If the whole episode is about that, but if it's like one big stinger at the end, and we don't want to like give it away for the people who really are going to get something really surprised out of it, we might skip that. But again, you're choosing to watch this show. But the asshole on your Twitter stream, on your Facebook stream, your friend who's like, oh, you should have read the books, blah, blah, blah. Well, fuck you and your books. You know, and thank God that this is the season where it breaks away from the books anyways.
Yeah, and not only that, you should then be rubbing it in their face that, well, guess what? I guess you're gonna not watch the last season because it'll spoil the book for you. Then you little
spoil the books. I told my friends the other day that I was thinking of was like, yeah, the day the book comes out, I'm just gonna go to the bookstore, read the last chapter, and post it online and say, been out for an hour and a half, should have read it, bitch. Boom.
But yeah, on that note, and on that bombshell, because I was watching Top Gear today while I was at my sister's house, we will say goodnight. You can find more of us, what we're doing, what I'm doing with the Splash page by following us on Twitter at ElseNerds. And you can like our Facebook group, where you can also find the stuff that I cover on the Splash page over at galacticnetcast.com. From our Facebook page at facebook.elsenerds.com. And you can see full archives of our episodes at youtube.com/elsenerdshow or elsenerds.com.
And I have no problem or no qualms at all if you decide to follow the Splash page at Galactic Netcast, either on their website or on their Facebook page, facebook.com/Galactic Netcast, because they're excellent people and you will get a lot of other great content from them as well.
Yes, they do a whole bunch. They have a whole bunch of these little. The Splash page is the only thing that's daily updated on there, with different news. But they have their shows that they put out there. Sci-Fi Geeks Club, Adventure Party,
the Alien Invasion.
Alien Invasion. I'm like, is it Alien Invasion or Time Traveling Robots in Space? Which one's still out there? And I believe there's a Weird World Weekly. And then there's also these little sound bites, like Who News. There's a few other ones, like there's the S Word.
Yeah, I really enjoy the S Word.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of these little bites, Splash pages, little Galactic Netcast bite.
And there may be another one coming out. Dave talked to me about something the other day, so that's something that might happen if I get off my ass.
Oh, okay. We have something we're going to talk about in the after show that you won't see. Ha ha ha. But no, we record What Else Is On every Monday night at 9:30 East, 6:30 West. Pod Save the Queen is resumed for a little bit until I can't find anything else, and it will be on Wednesdays at some time during the day, but that is your more bite-sized, enjoyable thing that we do here. And then 616 will return at a time to be determined in the future. We will keep you posted on that, but I will say right now, Convergence is good. I'm enjoying Convergence. There you go, 616 done for the week. But we hope you enjoyed the show. This has been a Don't Tell Glenn production. We will see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.